Hello there, welcome back. My name is Mark, I work here at Company 23. Today, we're gonna be doing a how to use our single overhead cam valve spring compressor tool on your single overhead cam EJ cylinder head. We did a previous video talking about all the parts that are in the box, what comes with this tool. Today, we're actually gonna put them to use, show you where they go, what they do, and why it'll make it really easy to take apart your cylinder head. This cylinder head in front of me is off a non-AVLS EJ251, I believe. Right now it has the rockers installed. The first thing we're gonna do is we're actually gonna remove the rockers and the rocker shafts and set them aside here on my nifty blue paper towels. So as you can probably tell, I have cheated and I have cracked the rocker shafts loose previously, but we are now going to zip these out, and through the magic of editing, probably take about half a second. Also, if you have an impact, I don't recommend cracking them loose with it, but it can definitely expedite the process of removing a lot of bolts. All right, we have successfully removed all the hardware from our rocker shafts, and now we can pop these up out of the way. We're not gonna need these again, so we're just gonna put them over here. It's also important, keep the rockers from sliding around, don't mix them up. They should all go back in the same spot from wherever they are removed. We're also gonna set our bolts aside here and make a little more room. So now, we can get to work. So, as you can see, we currently have the camshaft installed. We also still have the camshaft carrier. Now, disclaimer, while this tool does work with both of these parts installed, sometimes it is recommended to remove the camshaft carrier since it is sealed with RTV, clean the sealing surfaces, new RTV, put it all back together, but that's a decision for you to make. So the next thing we're gonna have to do, whether or not you remove the camshaft, is remove these two bolts. So these hold the cam carrier on, and those are where our valve spring compressor tool will mount to the head. Obviously now we're gonna line this up so we have an I and an E on the actual tool. It stands for intake and exhaust ports. So I can set this on here without my plastic spacers. So these are for if we remove the cam carrier, which we will be doing in a few minutes. But for now, we don't need these, so we can set them either on top or below the tool, and we will still be able to use it perfectly well. Now, we're gonna take our two mounting hardware bolts, feed those through. These are 12mm head, and they mount the valve spring compressor cage to the actual cylinder head. And we're just gonna run these down quick, fasten the tool to the head. One other thing to mention is that if you live in a world where you want to put air pressure into the cylinder and actually swap springs, retainers, or valve seals or something of the sort without removing the cylinder head from the engine, we did actually build in clearance here to the actual spark plug tube. So you were able to get an air line and air fitting into the cylinder head much more easily. So now we have our spring cage mounted to the cylinder head. Just for point of illustration, I'm just gonna set these off to the side. They are not in the way at all. Now, we are going to take our threaded rod and let's do this valve. So for the point of illustration, I'm just gonna do this valve right here because it's right in front of the camera. I'm gonna get my threaded rod started. Now I can take my spring cup. So this spring cup with the single overhead cam EJ valve spring compressor tool is aluminum, which helps when you're trying to fish the keepers out. Your magnet doesn't actually stick to it, of course. It also features a bearing in the top. So when you twist this, or when you tighten this rather, this will stay stationary in relation to the screw. So now I can take my valve spring compressor cup, set it on top of the valve, run my threaded rod in until it makes contact. And I can swap out my socket for a 5mm Allen. And now it's as simple as tightening this screw. You hear it pop. That was actually the keepers letting go. So I'm just gonna keep running this down a little bit until I have some more clearance. Now I can take my Company 23 magnetic ended flat blade screwdriver and take the magnetic end reach in there, grab a keeper, reach on the other side, grab another keeper. There's tons of clearance with our new valve spring compressor cup. Now I can just run my screw back out. Just like that, I have removed my valve spring, my retainer, my keepers. Pull this over, remove the valve, easy peasy. So that is using the tool with the camshaft and with the cam carrier installed. Now we're actually going to remove all of this, and we are going to remove a valve with the camshaft removed, the cam carrier removed, and with our spacers installed, just to give you an idea of what that looks like as well. So we took our screw out already. Now we're going to grab our 12mm socket, and we're going to remove the mounting hardware. Now I'm going to take my same 5mm Allen. Also, when you remove the cam carrier off the cylinder head, be very careful of these fasteners. They can be extremely tight, so tight that you drop your mic. So also, when you do disassemble your cylinder head, especially the single overhead cam variants, be very careful of the hardware that fastens the cam carrier to the cylinder head. There are Allen bolts on some heads, they have Torx bolts. And over time with heat cycling and many other things, they get extremely tight. And the last thing you want to do is strip an Allen socket. And also a little cheat code. We are not affiliated with them at all, but I am a huge fan of Grip Edge RPT Allen sockets. I use them on basically any Allen I can find. So we're going to remove all the bolts, make sure I have them all removed. Obviously, you're probably watching this and you're realizing that I cheated a little bit. I had some of these bolts removed previously. This head has been through many different demonstrations and illustrations and frustrations and all kinds of stuff. So now I believe we have all the hardware removed. Next thing you're gonna wanna do after you have all the hardware removed is check out the couple pry points that the cylinder head has. And we are going to remove it from the cylinder head. So you also don't wanna mar any surfaces between the cam carrier and the cylinder head. Then you might get an oil leak at some point, and oil leaks are never good, even though every Subaru has an oil leak, it seems. So we have the cam carrier removed. We're also gonna pop the camshaft out of the cylinder head. Just gonna give this a quick wipe down as it's extremely oily. Now we have basically fully disassembled the top part of the cylinder head. Now we can actually take our spacers. So these spacers mimic the thickness of a cam carrier. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the hardware from the tool for a second. We're gonna take our spacers, and you see these little holes in the bottom of the tool. We also have corresponding magnets in the actual spacer. So I can put it on there, it's not going anywhere, which makes it extremely easy. I can do this. I can fist pump. It makes it extremely easy to install on the cylinder head. So again, I&E, intake and exhaust. Put this on the cylinder head. Put our mounting bolts through. Grab my 12mm socket. Tighten those down. Because we use these spacers, it actually allows for the angles and everything to be identical without the cage removed as with the cage removed. So now again, we'll move to our other side, we'll remove this valve. So I'm gonna get the screw started, put my spring cup in here, position my windows in such a way that it makes removing the keepers extremely easy. Just gonna get that kind of seated a little bit so it'll stay where it needs to be. Grab my 5mm Allen again, And I'm just gonna run this screw down again until my keepers can be removed. So I've compressed the spring, come in here with my magnet, push out the keepers, just gonna set them aside, back up my threaded rod or my screw until I can grab my spring cup. Now I can remove my retainer, my spring, flip the head over, push the valve out. Bingo, bango. Dunno. So that's as easy as it is to disassemble a single overhead cam EJ cylinder head using the Company 23 single overhead cam EJ valve spring compressor tool, which is a mouthful. I think it's actually easier to disassemble the head than it is to say the name of the tool. Another tip is that if you're careful with an impact and you don't actually ugga-dugga anything extremely tight, you can remove all the valves, springs, retainers from the cylinder head extremely quickly if you use a electric impact to run the screw in and out. Be careful, don't cross or anything, don't go crazy with it, but you can actually disassemble this head extremely quickly. It's a huge benefit that you can remove all 8 valve setups or valve springs, retainers, whatever, without having to reposition the tool. This tool also works both on EJ 251, 253 with AVLS, without AVLS, it all works the same. And while this video does walk through the process of removing valve springs, retainers, keepers, and valves, the process for reinstalling them is identical, just in reverse. So when you go to rebuild your cylinder head, you can also use this tool. This tool is part number 589 on www.company23.com. It is available. If you have any questions on this tool for either myself, Mark, or our media extraordinaire, Harris, who is behind the camera, you can reach one of us, shoot an email to c23@company23.com. You can also shoot us an Instagram DM, a Facebook message, a TikTok message, a YouTube message. We get back to everybody as quickly as we can, and we're more than happy to help and get your car back on the road. So I hope you've enjoyed. And with that being said, it is now the time in the video where I must say, just kidding. Bye.